Hi everyone, this is Christy with Paper Hoarder Disorder. This is part 2 of the decorating series for the Spooky Backflip album. We have already talked about everything that was in our kit and what we should have. We have done our liners, we've built our pockets. We have done page 1 and the booklet, and we've already gone over how to ink up your cardstock, your large pocket tags, and also how to do the journaling lines, an easy way to get full-length journaling lines without a stamp. And of course, you can space them however you'd like. So we've gone over all of that. Now we're getting ready to do page 2, or rather, it depends on how you look at it. This is a 6-page album, but there's 2 sides, so it's actually kind of 12. So labeling them and doing them like that just avoids confusion. So we're going to call this page 2. So on this, what I want you to do is now we have to go through and we have to pull out this piece right here from our large pack from doing our blank. And I want you to go ahead and take this little guy off. This little baggie with some goodies in there, and we need to start installing our magnets. Again, now your brads are going to be attached. They're going to, of course, attract to your magnets, so you're going to have to pull those off. So go ahead and take your group of magnets. Now, it doesn't look like much, and you think, oh, they're so small, they're not going to do anything. Well, these are rare earth magnets. They're very, very strong. They're very low profile, so they don't stick up too far. They're easy to work with. And I have noticed that I've tried to go with a larger magnet in the past, and stuff these guys back in there. Get back in there. I've tried to go with larger magnets, and it is nice that big snap when they close, but I've noticed that people, while they're looking at the albums, if the magnets are a little too strong, they tend to not want to pull on them because they're afraid they're going to rip something. And alternatively, some people that get used to pulling on one of those will try to pull too hard on another part of your book that isn't actually supposed to be pulled up. So I think that, that's kind of problematic in itself. So it doesn't really require some of the other magnets that I was using before. If I can, here's some of them. So you can see the difference in them. So I was using magnets closer to this, and these were much, much too large. Let me see if I can put them in my hand. So these were much, much too large, even though they seem very tiny. Again, these are rare earth magnets, and they are very strong. So we have, I've gone down to this size. So they are half the size, but they are still plenty strong enough to go through your cardstock and hold your pieces. And a lot of the gals that I have converted over to this, they just love them. They're just wonderful, and I'm thrilled with them. I think you will be too. But don't be don't be surprised that these teeny weeny little things will work as well as they do. Give them a chance. So on this, and by the way, these are actually more expensive than the other ones, which is interesting to me. But hey, but they work better. So what we're going to do here is we've got this base page here, not the back flip part, but this page right here is 6.5 inches, and we want to find the center of it, and we're going to come up a 1/2 inch and in, depending on what side you come from, 3.5. So we're going to mark it at 3.5 and a 1/2 inch up. So if you have a clear ruler, this second line right here, right there is 1/2 inch. So if we come up a 1/2 inch and 3.5, and this does not have to be exact, it just has to be kind of close, and that's going to be the positioning of our magnet, of our first magnet. And you can see that when that's closed, I've also marked approximately where that's going to go. If you put it on here and you put it at a 1/2 inch and you mark it here, this is pretty much where it'll be on the outside as well. So it's grabbing at just the right area. Oops. That black, it just does not like that black. Okay, give it something else to focus on. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our magnets. Now I have little metal containers up here and whatnot, so that's where I'm going to let my magnets find each other. So I've got one single little magnet. Now it does not matter what side's up and what side's down, because we're going to work around that. So I'm using, you can use Glossy Accents, which is right here. You can use Glossy Accents. I'm using my Crystal 3D, boy, it's just really washing out, Crystal 3D lacquer. Let me see if I can change that. Let me see if I can change that lighting just a smidge. Okay. Bear with me, ladies. Okay, see if that helps any. It's still washing out. Okay, let me try to angle these just a smidge. Okay. That's better. Okay, so we have Crystal 3D lacquer. And I prefer that. And I also use, you can see that I also use a glitter tip, a metal tip on that, because I really love the precision. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a tiny dot. Whoop. It's a little bigger than what I need. Let me go ahead and show you. This doesn't dry instantly, so I've got some room. So focus, focus. If you can see, I just added just a little bit of glue right there. And I'm going to take my magnet and I'm just going to drop it in there. I'm going to try to do my best to, center that on there. I don't want to get glue on the top of my magnet, because that's going to, that's going to add a whole nother layer in between that and the other magnet it's going to attract to. So you want to avoid that. So I've just got that stuck down in there. So I just stuck it down in there. Now it can be helpful, especially since we're just using dry adhesive, to make basically kind of like a little moat around the edges of the magnet, the base magnet. And what I mean is just to go around the edges. You see, I'm trying to stay off of the top, which I think I did get a little bit on the top. Okay, so keep it off of the top. It's not focusing. Come on, focus, focus. There you go, you kind of got it. Anyways, you go a little bit on the outsides, and what that does is even if it were to lift up, it would still have to, it'd be locked in place on the sides as well. So it really locks it in place, and I like that. So on this, here we have the other 3 pieces that we have left in our page 1 and 2 are these 3 pieces. I've already gone ahead and inked these up. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get these ready. Put 3 in the center on that one. So there's my adhesive on that. And then, of course, like with dry adhesives, you got to hover, because you got to get the placement right the first time. And it does not matter that that's not dry yet. It's okay. So we're going to hover. We're going to center on all 4 sides, which is about 1/4 inch. And we're going to lay that down. Now on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pinch it. I'm lifting up the page and I'm going to just push it. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to allow the paper to conform around the magnet to give the best bond possible. Okay. There we go. And I had considered, we need another magnet now. So go ahead and get another one. We've got 12 magnets for our 6 pages. So, yeah. And I was considering putting the magnet on this underside in order to have more direct contact, but I think this is going to be just fine. It just needs to hold it down just as you're turning the pages. That's all. So what we're going to do is, all I did was, you can see here that I kind of helped it conform around there. So you can see on here. That's a good thing when it conforms around the magnet like that. It means it's really bonded down on all sides. Okay, so that goes there. And all we need to do in order to do this one, we don't need to know what side's up and down, because all you have to do is drop it and it finds it's right. It writes itself. So let's go ahead and use our glossy or 3D. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide it out of the way. I'm going to see where it's positioned, slide it out of the way, and I'm going to put a little bit of glossy right where that needs to be. But I'm not going to get too carried away with it. And I'm going to go around the edges. I'm not going to get too thick with it, because that, you know, adds another layer. Like I said, it adds another layer in between the two magnets, which weakens the magnets. The more layers you put between them, the bigger, the stronger the magnet you need. So on the top here, we've got this owl, tree, and gravestone. Sorry about the shine, you know, that's what you get when you have glossy paper, but it's a really awesome image. And everybody will have this. I was very specific to make sure that everybody got this owl and the gravestone exactly the same, because it was key. So I'm going to go ahead and add my dry adhesive. Now sometimes on these glossy pieces, sometimes you will see fingerprints and you'll need to kind of buff them out. But I would wait until you're completely done. So I have not told you measurements since the liners, and I need to catch up on that for those of you who are using your own paper. Okay, so again, we're going to come down in this corner. I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to make that paper conform around the magnet on both sides. Okay, and there we go. Now, if you wanted to round your corners, you could. Not necessary. This one is going to go on the inside. Again, I've already inked it. And these pieces, they're going on the front and the back panel. Okay, so real simply, for the measurements, I really want to go over those for those of you who just purchased the video and you're using your own paper to do the back flip. Let's go ahead and see. Again, this has some type on it, so I want to make sure that's right side up. Hover. And these, I believe, are 3.5 by 6 inches tall. So let me go ahead and measure these off for you. These side pieces, and these are going to be the same all the way through the book. So the back flip parts will be 3.5 inches wide by 6 inches tall. And a lot of these base pages, if they stay whole, are 6 inches square, so 6 by 6. On this one, on this original one, this was a 6 by 6, and then I cut off the bottom 2 inches. So that leaves us with a 6 by 4 and a 6 by 2. On the booklet itself is 8.5 inches, and it is 5 inches wide. It is scored at 4.25 in half. And the pattern paper on here is 4 inches by 4 3/4 inches by 4 inches. 4 3/4 by 4. And so that makes up our booklet. So you have measurements if you're using different papers, or if you've found these same papers and you want to cut it to match. So there we go. We have our first set done. We have page 1 and we have page 2, and we have a magnetic closure. And when we go to move this, you can see that does not flap out the way that this one does. So, well, hi there, sweet boy. And if you wanted to, you could also round these corners. And to tell you the truth, I think I'm going to. Again, you know, whenever there's a square corner like this, it's almost inevitable. Where are you? I don't even see you in here. I think the magnet was getting in the way of rounding that corner. So, again, what I'm going to do is round them before, note to you all, round them before you add your magnets. And so I'm just going to go ahead. Now you got to be careful. You know, you can't saw on paper. It's thin wood. It's very thin wood. So you need to be careful about how much you saw on it because it can look ratty. So you got to be careful. Like I sawed on that one just a little bit too much. And now I have to trim off the frayed part. So it's more for light touches, not heavy sawing. So on these, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I nip all of these. I like the look of it. And if I do it now, then I don't have to worry about missing it in the future and having to work around the magnets. You like my long pause? Okay, so those are all rounded up, you know, again, completely optional, as is all of this. If ever you find a piece, for example, that you would prefer the reverse side of this, the B side of this, rather than what the piece that I showed, that is completely your option to do. Okay, so there we are with that. So next, let's go on to adding in our stickers. Okay, so on these, I went ahead and I separated these out so you knew what went where. So on these, all you have to do is you have to peel them off. Now, if you want to, you can add some glue, and I'm going to. Over top of the adhesive. So you've got, the adhesive is going to hold it down for right now, but the glue is going to hold it down forever. So I'm just going to go ahead and center this on here best I can. And that looks about right. And look at how adorable that is. I love these Anna Griffin layered stickers. I'm not a fan of stickers, but when they're layered up, yeah, you kind of got me on that one. And they just fit so well, especially for not being the same collection. I just love the way that they work. Okay, and the Dare to Scare goes right here. Now, I didn't ink these up at all on the edge. I don't necessarily think that they need it, but, you know, if you wanted to, you know, you can go for it. I'm okay with the way that they look. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm bringing this up at about a quarter. I'm centering and coming up about a quarter of an inch from the edge. And again, I added some glue. Nice pressure to spread that glue out. And if you need to, you can pick these back up, you know, the layered parts, if you squished them down a little bit too much. So there you go. Again, it's hard to show on there, but you have yours right in front of you, and so you know the effect that you get from it. So how cute is that? And then we've got our magnetic closure that's just enough. Nothing too hard. It's just enough to give the function that we need. And that cute little snap you can still hear. Perfect. So let's go ahead and move on to page number 3, 4. So here we have pages 3 and 4. So let's just go ahead and open that up. We just love Halloween around here. I always have. It was wonderful as a child. We celebrated Halloween just about as big as we did Christmas. So I guess yeah, how much you love Halloween usually is a direct result of how it was celebrated when you were a child, I think. So we really embraced it. So okay, so here we have the other half of this over here. So let's go ahead and ink that guy up. This one's real easy. So we're on to page 3. Again, I'm doing this off camera. You all know how I ink. I just want to make sure that I can do it quickly so that you're not waiting on me too long. But who knows, maybe you guys are doing this along with me, which honestly I think can be really, really fun. You know, to watch it all the way through the first time, and then when you come back, it's like we're just, you know, it's like a crop. It's like doing it together. And I got to tell you, when I'm doing this, even though I'm in my craft room talking to myself, and I think that's a little loony, honestly, I walk away feeling just like I was in a crop with you guys. Even though I'm not getting feedback, it's I can almost anticipate some of the comments I'm going to get. And so let's go and center this. It really is very, very therapeutic for me. It really has made a huge difference in my stress levels. And some of you know that I have a severely autistic son that I homeschool. And it can be, he's 12 now and hormonal, and it can be quite a challenge. Sometimes I'm lucky if I get in 30 minutes a day of any kind of work or crafting or anything, and that can go on for like weeks. So anyways, so I'm cutting away and I'm not even telling you what I'm doing. So back on track. Okay, so what we have here, we went ahead and we laid this down, and that's actually all we need to do this page. I didn't decorate this further because the images were just so wonderful that I didn't want to add anything. Now, when this comes to be decorated, when I add in photos, what I'll probably do is I will probably add something about this size, maybe slightly larger photo mat in just black. Yeah, I think I would probably go to, honestly, I would probably go to about a 4.5 by 3-inch piece. 4.5 by 3 on the matting here, and then I would probably take some silver bling and some kind of flourish and maybe bring this down, or maybe if I could find like a spider web, rhinestone spider web, I might put that up in this corner since we have a spider web down here. Put it up there. So something like that is what I would be doing, but I would try not to cover up this beautiful imagery. So, but that's how this page would look. And so, you know, when you see it all blank, it's kind of hard to see it as a whole. But when you just, all it takes is putting a tiny little matting. And if you're gifting this to somebody, all you have to do in order for them to take it from, I don't know what to do with this book, to where when you put a mat there, you say, this is where you put a picture. And this is the size you cut that picture. And so it really is like you putting the easy button, pushing the easy button for them when they're a non-crafter and they don't know where to put the picture, they don't know what size to put, they tend to just not use the book at all. And that's a shame because you're putting all this time into it. So if you are gifting it away, I highly recommend putting in the photo mats, even if you're just doing one of these and you just put a tiny little bit. All you have to do is put a teeny weeny little bit of ATG, and ATG is not like score tape. It's very low tack, and it's not going to stick, you know, like concrete. It's not going to rip up your paper. If you just touch it down very softly, you can just say, okay, this is that. But if they decide, that'll give them an idea. And if they want to go with that, then they can go with that. Say, for example, they want to change the orientation. Say they want to put it here and they want to put another one here, or they want to change it up. They can. It gives them options. And of course, if you have the ATG, you can just roll it off. Much easier than you can score tape. So you can just roll it right off. So I didn't even ruin my piece. I didn't ruin my paper. It's just a win-win. So, when you're getting ready to gift these things away, think about those things that are going to make this really easy and really usable for the non-crafters. Make them believers. So anywho, so we have our piece here. This page is done. Or at least for now, until it has its pictures. And I like to add that bling, by the way. I don't add that into the kit because if I were to add that now, then it really shortens the area for the pictures. I prefer to add those and have those come up and over my picture. So I try to keep this very clean, and you guys take it from here. Take it from here, add in your pictures, and then add all of the pretties that you like, or you can just keep it clean and simple. That's the beauty of this, is that you can just keep on adding if you want to add. So on to page 4. We have this little pocket here. And what I'm going to do is I have trimmed off this top edge right here, angled this, and I went straight through here. So right through, there was a little corner here. Let me show you. Let me put it back. So what I cut off was right here. You see that tiny little square down here in the corner? That's what we want to cut away. And we're going to go right through that intersection, just like that. And then we're going to just trim off the excess, get rid of the bulk right there. And then we're also going to come through. Now on this one, I want my longer scissors, and I'm not sure where they went. They are hiding. Oh, here they are. My new Tim Holtz scissors. I call them my, I call these my Edward scissor hands because they're giant. They're like Taylor scissors, and they're awesome. They cut an awesome straight line. So again, we are cutting away the entire score line, and I'm going to angle it up to that corner. So on the left side, we have that whole panel and without the score lines, and then over here we have a couple little tabs. So what we're going to do on this one is we are going to mountain sides up. The bump is up, and you can feel it with your fingers. And I always say mountain sides up and feel it with your fingers because it's very hard to see an inny and outy on the black cardstock. So mountains up, feel them with your fingers, and fold up and over. And on these, we want these tabs to go on the outside. So with the pocket closed, fold them up and over, and up and over. So now you see how there's a tiny bit of puckering there? That means that I didn't actually get quite enough away from, or actually that is not part of the one that I trimmed away. That means though, this, on the score lines, those take up space. So you can do one of two things. You can either trim off a little bit, and it doesn't even have to be straight. This is about what I trimmed off, which is not straight. But all you have to do is put that on there, and all of a sudden your pocket lays flat. So you can either do it that way and trim off a little bit, or you can lay it down and you can just burnish it from the right side and make sure that everything's laying flat. Just like that. So that would be the front. This will be the back. And see how the tabs are on the outside? Again, that makes a full back pocket so that when you're sliding your tag in and out, it is not getting hung up on anything. So let's go ahead and add our glue. You can do one side at a time or both, whatever works for you, whatever you're comfortable with. Again, this is, I'm using glue on this one because I can. This is quick dry, not instant dry, so make sure, you give it a good 5 seconds, maybe even 10 if you've got it to spare. Okay, so we have our little pocket built, and on this one, I'm going to use the orange side. Now, this is one of those things where it's an option. If you wanted to use the polka dot side, you can, but I should caution you that the polka dot side is used further in the book, so that's why I'm using the striped side here. So on exactly the same pocket, this same page is done again a couple pages later, and on the top of the pocket. Ooh, I almost used glue. Here we go. Let's go and use our creature of habit. All right, so So there's our adhesive. I'm just going to center that on there, and it has just less than 1/8 of an inch. Now you will notice that my pocket opens from the right hand side. That's the way I want it to go on there. Oh, and I got inky fingers, and I got a little bit of ink on my. But if you use a very, very lightly damp, this one has been drying for a while. If you use a damp, because this has a glossy finish to it, if you use a damp wet wipe, you can get those inky fingers off of there. So be aware of your inky fingers, which I'm not always. This happens to me all the time, actually. So what we're going to do here is we need to get on our, creating a big mess here. We need to get on our magnet first. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure. And again, we're going to put it at 6.5 and 1/2 inch up, and we're going to measure at 3.5. Again, this does not have to be exact. So we've got our little dot, 3.5 inches in and 1/2 inch up. We're going to add a dot of our 3D lacquer that I left the top off of. I am absolutely a habitual offender of leaving the tops off and the needles out of my glitter tips, and that is a big no-no. They are wonderful tools, but they do require maintenance. And come on, you. Okay, there we go. We've got our little dot, which is all we need. We're going to take a single magnet. Sorry about those. Oh, you know what? See, okay, there's our boo-boo. This is the reason why you stay ahead. Now, this is actually not necessarily a boo-boo. You can still do it this way. It does not apply as much to... Did I put the magnet back where I found it? I'm not sure if I did. Possibly. If your magnets were stronger, this is a big deal. Right now, it's not so much of a big deal. One of the ways, if you're using stronger magnets, they can attract to each other even through these pages, even through Pocket Pages tags, the whole bit, if they're big enough. And that can cause you problems. So the best way to avoid that, and this is one of the things I did want to show you, it's not necessarily necessary in this book, but it's a good thing to know with magnet interaction for future books. So what we're going to do, since this one's low, we're going to do this one high, and that means this one will be low and this one will be high. That way there's no way of them attracting through pages, and you don't have to worry about your positives and negatives. So let's go ahead and do the same thing, except for we're going to do it up here. We're going to do it up here. All right, and my little pen is right here. We're going to mark it at 3.5. There we go. And we're going to make sure that covers over. Perfect. Lid. All right, so there we go. See, this is one of the good reasons to watch and then do. Although you could have saved yours just as quickly as I did mine. Okay, so we've got that on there, and we're going to make the little moat around the edges, just very lightly. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be thick. It's just something. Just a little bit around the edges. I'm going to show that to you again. Maybe it won't wash out. There you go. Just a little bit. Okay, so on this one, on the back of this one, we're going to use the spider web paper. Love this. Ink those up. Now this one, I'm just knocking the white off of the edges because you're not going to see this black on black anyways. So I'm trying to, I don't know which way I want it. I think I want it down here. I want the center of the web down here because I think I will put the pictures up around here. Or actually, it would be nice to have a picture down here too. I think I'm going to do it like this. But you put yours down any which way you like. Alright, so this guy's going to go up here. Centered on all four edges. Push it down, and again, we're going to conform the paper around the magnet. Okay, and I will give you a little peek of that. You can see how I've conformed it around. You can see the outline of the magnet. And these are very, very thin. So, you know, using a thicker magnet really makes them stick out a lot more. So I highly recommend getting small, thin magnets. Okay, so on this one, we're going to put this one on the outside. Inked up. But of course, we have to add our second magnet first. This one, again, I'm not going to ink into it. I'm just going to knock the edges off, knock the white off, as I call it. So knock the white off there. And let's go ahead and take our other magnet. We're going to take another magnet. And we're just going to drop it, and it's going to write itself. So once it's found its mate, you kind of guesstimate where that is, add a tiny bit of the glossy, and around the edges, just a smidge. And now we can add on our piece. Again, some script. I want my script up. If you have a piece that is script up. Now here's one of the options. So on here, you know, it has the spooky and the spider on this side. So that is an option, but what I would caution you is look at what it's going to be facing next to before you make that decision, because you might not want the same pattern on the opposite page. So if you want to do that, I forgot to tell you that this web paper it does have glitter on it, and it can shed. And so what I typically have done, what I did in the first one, is that I kind of rubbed it on my shirt, you know, to kind of knock off some of the glitter. I've even taken it and rubbed it on the carpet before, very gently, as to not crease and wrinkle the paper. But you can get a lot of that glitter off. You can take something like, if it bothers you, it's really not heavily glittered, but I have, this thing is completely full of glitter. I just put on a lot more glitter than was on there. I didn't clean it off. But if you have a clean one of these, then you can put it on there and you can get a lot of that glitter off. You can take a simple dry paintbrush, and you can just brush it heavily. And you can knock off, if you scribble on it, then you can knock off the excess glitter, and you can basically prevent it from shedding in the future. Because it's not glitter paper, it's paper with some glitter on it. So it is completely workable, even if you're not a fan of glitter. So there you go. That's all you got to do. Very easy to fix if the glitter bothers you. And I know a lot of people are bothered by the glitter. So don't toss out the paper if the glitter bothers you. Just get rid of the glitter. It's that easy. At least in this case. So on this one, we're ready to put this one on, and again, you can put this any direction that you want. I think I'm going to put the scrolls high Or actually, that's not true. Since I want this up here and I'm going to put pictures down low, then I'm going to leave the scroll here so that I can put pictures high over here. So again, this is all just whatever you prefer. I'm going through the process in my own head in hopes that it will help you. But by all means, do what feels good and what looks good to you. Okay, and again, this is 3 inches by 6 inches. This is 6 inch by 6 inch, and this is 3.5 inches by 6 inches. Same as the inside. Okay, so that's on there. Now it's time to add in our pocket. Again, make sure that the side opening is this way, and we're just going to go ahead and glue that down. We don't want to get too skimpy on the glue on this. We don't want it oozing out everywhere, but we don't want to get too skimpy either. So we're going to center this on 3 sides, which should fit the paper pretty well. All right. And I'm going to give that a little pressure. Again, instant, it's a quick dry, not instant dry. The corners are its weakest points. That's where it's going to lift. If it's going to lift, that's where it's going to try to lift from. I might want to pick it up because this has got a little dimension back behind it. Okay, and so on this one, we had, oh, there it is. I was going to say, we've got our little tag that goes in there, and we've got this that will go on that tag. And we're going to ink that up. I think I might actually change my mind. I think I had originally, oop, there I go again, getting my inky fingers. There we go. Getting my inky fingers on my paper. I had originally intended to, I don't think I got it all. There you go. Good thing about using the distress stains is that they are water-based. They're dye inks and water-based, so you have a little more wiggle room as for cleanup on them. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this side rather than the Argyle, like I originally did. You know, I guess it just depends on what mood you're in as to what side you're going to use, and you know, make it your own, make it unique. All right, and so I'm going to go ahead and round these corners. I'm going to round these corners here. Now this one says, this is an EK Success, and it says it's a 1/2 inch, but personally I think it's closer to a 1/4 inch. It's somewhere in between. Okay, so there's a tiny bit of a rough edge there on the cut, and I'm just going to round that off. Okay, so there's our tag, and on this one I want to add on my little pull. So what I'm going to do, I can put a hole through that, or let's see if we can come up with another way. So this is much longer piece of the Fun Fur Martha Stewart. I don't think she calls it Fun Fur. She calls it something. I don't know exactly what it is. But I'm just going to knot it up. And this is a lot. I put far too much in here. So if you want to cut it in half, you may. I think half of this would probably be enough for this little tag, but you know, I've got it right here, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and attach it. So what I'm going to do on this one, you could punch a hole and attach it. Let's see, where is my little, or you can use your tiny attacher. You can you punch a hole and thread it through, or like I'm doing here, you can use your tiny attacher. And I'm going to staple it right through. the two of those, and it's very, very thick, which actually I kind of like. The other ones weren't that thick, and then I'm going to just trim it off, which is going to create kind of a mess. I'm going to give it a bit of a haircut. And so like that. Make sure it's on there nice and tight, and it's not gonna, that it can be pulled on because it is a pull of a tag, so you want to make sure you can yank on it. And if you mess up with the fur in there, then it covers over those staples just fine. So look how cute that is. It's a little random, and it's all fun and furry and spooky and creepy. Okay, so I've got this huge mess on my desk. Actually, it doesn't look that bad on the camera. That is a little too messy for my OCD to handle. So I'm going to get rid of all that. Pretty easy to clean that up, though. Okay, so that just slides in here, like so. And you've got your little fur sticking out here as your little hint to, you know, that's like a little pull me sign as far as I'm concerned. And it adds a whole nother layer of texture. So on here we have another sticker, Ghastly Greetings. I love this guy. Probably one of my favorites, and I'm just going to center him on here. And push him down. And we have our magnet up here at the top. But it's still light enough that even when we pull on the bottom, it's not warping and stretching our paper. So what do you think of that? Kinda cool. Kinda cool. I want to make sure that that's conformed around the magnet. I don't know if I did that before. Okay, and so let's go ahead and take a quick peek. We're at about the cutoff point for the next video. So 1 and 2, we've got our flip out. And we've got 3 and 4 with our flip out. And also we have our pull out tag with our full back little mini pocket. Okay, so we're going to take a break right here, and then we will see you back in video number 3.